Earlier this week, Matt Brown of Extra Points, the newsletter. It's a great newsletter if you are into like the business of college sports. Great free newsletters on Mondays and Fridays, paid newsletters Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you're into that sort of thing, I would highly recommend it. But not only is it the business of college sports, it is a great asset, a great source for updates on the college football video game. And if you are a fan of the college football video game coming back like I am for 2024, there is really nobody better than Matt Brown. And earlier this week, Matt Brown gave a really interesting update about college football 25 from EA Sports, in that he had somewhat of an update on who would be on the cover of the game or who would be on the covers of the game. And there's been a lot of discussion about who will be on the cover of a game that is coming back for the first time in 10 years, right? Like you have had a decade worth of players who could have been on the cover. You could have put every Heisman Trophy winner from that time on the cover. Everybody that would have been on the cover or could have been up for the cover be on the cover. That is not what is going to happen. According to Matt Brown, there are going to be active college football players, people who are playing the sport in 2024 on the cover of EA College Football 25. And so today we are going to try to figure out who is going to be on the cover of the game. So here, before we dive into who I think is going to be on the cover, and there is a wild guess here, but I would bet you that I'm not right, but I feel like I'm on the right path. I got the selection criteria here. So I've got that there are going to be 3 additions to the game, which I think, you're going to get your baseline version, then like a deluxe version, diamond version, whatever the case may be, platinum, gold, whatever EA wants to call it. So 3 people are going to be on the covers, 1 per position. That was something Matt Brown was adamant that there were going to be that there aren't going to be 3 quarterbacks or 2 quarterbacks. It's going to be 1 quarterback. He didn't even say 1 quarterback. He just said there will not be duplicates of positions. Not every Power 4 conference is going to be represented. These are my criterias. I don't think somebody who is playing their first year as a transfer at their new school is going to be on the list, and then 1 player per school. So they're not going to choose 2 people from Notre Dame. They're not going to choose 2 people from Alabama, whatever the case may be. So that is how I got to the decisions that I got to. Only 1, and he didn't say how many additions there would be or how many cover athletes there would be. Because at first, when he said, and he reiterated later in the day, I think on Monday, that it originally sounded as if there were going to be 4 cover athletes, that there were going to be 4 players that are on the cover, 1 for the ACC, 1 for the Big Ten, 1 for the SEC, 1 for the Big 12. And I sat and racked my brain for a while. I was like, okay, who is the player for the ACC at that point? Because if it's a player in the ACC, it feels like it's got to be a quarterback. It can't be, in my opinion, a first-year transfer. So someone like Cam Ward at Miami isn't going to be the choice, or Malik Murphy at Duke. And I don't know who the biggest non-quarterback in the ACC is. Will Shipley? Is Will Shipley going to sell you a lot of video games? I don't know. And then Matt Brown came back like, hey, by the way, not every power conference is going to be represented on the cover of this game. So to me, that takes out the ACC, I think, because otherwise it would have been Cade Klubnik. And Cade Klubnik, I don't think is the biggest / best quarterback to, if you're only going to use 1 quarterback, I think that is a bad use of your 1 quarterback, in my opinion, which is why I think if we're going to go by there are cover players per edition of the game, I think the baseline NCAA or EA Sports College Football 25 on the cover, when you close your eyes and think about the cover, it's Quinn Ewers. I think Quinn Ewers is on the cover of EA Sports College Football 25. He's a quarterback. He's a returning quarterback who has had a lot of success, was one of the highest rated recruits is what I'm trying to say. One of the highest rated recruits of all time, and is the quarterback of a team with one, super high aspirations, but then two, is a very big brand name in college football. So to me, that feels like a slam dunk. Now I realize that it's going to take some getting used to of Texas being with the SEC logo. And I don't know that if you are going to go region by region, which Matt Brown somewhat hinted at, it was like there's going to be somebody on the cover for people who buy the game in the West and somebody who's going to buy the cover in the Southeast, in the Midwest, in the Northeast, or whatever. I think it's somewhat controversial if you're going to use someone from the University of Texas as the cover athlete to represent the SEC. So in my estimation, there are two of the three that are SEC athletes. So Quinn Ewers, I think, is on, in my guess, and I believe I probably am wrong in my next guess. But I think Quinn Ewers is on the cover of the Baseline game. He feels like, to me, I think probably the second biggest star in the sport going into the 2024 season. And Quinn Ewers has not been shy about creating NIL opportunities. So I'll take Quinn Ewers on the cover. And I feel like I have two of the three right, in my opinion. This one is the one that I feel the least confident in. Because if you're only going to have one player per position, you only have one quarterback, then that takes off some guys. That takes off a lot of viable candidates. And the next, to me, like step up, whatever the diamond, platinum, gold version, or whatever the case may be, I have Harold Perkins, the linebacker from LSU. And this is really going out on a limb because I think you can't have somebody that's in their first year as a conference be the team that represents the SEC or whatever. And so to assuage any of those concerns, Harold Perkins of LSU, I think fits the bill. Now, this is a kind of going out there because since 1993, since the college football game has been around, since 94, there have been exactly two defensive players on the cover of the game. One was Charles Woodson, was on the cover of NCAA football 1999, the year after, he wins the Heisman Trophy. And he won the Heisman Trophy because he returned punts and played offense too. So 1999. And then Brian Orakpo was on the cover of NCAA football 2010 for the PS2 version. Keep in mind that by 2010, by 2009, people were playing on PS3, which is the Brian Johnson, the Utah quarterback. I beg your pardon. The Utah quarterback was on the cover of the PS3 version, which if you played NCAA at that point, you're probably playing on PS3 anyway. But Brian Orakpo was on PS2. And Charles Woodson was on the cover of the game in 1999. So 2 of 25 covers have been defensive players. But I think I think EA Sports is going to say, we want a full-out defensive player, and we want somebody that's going to be more of a traditional SEC school to buy some copies. Therefore, in my estimation, Harold Perkins is on one of the covers. LSU, like Texas, big name brand. Harold Perkins is, I think, probably the biggest defensive name, and we'll get to this in a second, biggest defensive name in the game going into 2024. So I don't feel strongly about that one in the slightest, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say Harold Perkins is on one of the covers. And then the final one, and I think this is the slam dunk. If there's one that I have right, it's this one, and that it's Travis Hunter is on one of the covers of the game. Travis Hunter, wide receiver, defensive back for Colorado. Deion Sanders is wisely using him in as many aspects as he can, and it is going to lead to Travis Hunter being on one of the covers of the game, whether it's the super ultra platinum titanium edition or what have you. And maybe I got it backwards. Maybe Travis Hunter is on the copy of the baseline version of the game and Quinn Ewers is on the deluxe version or whatever. I would be legitimately shocked, stunned, flabbergasted, whatever word you want to use, to say, to see Travis Hunter not be one of those players that is going to be on the cover. Travis Hunter brought eyeballs, along with Deion Sanders being super braggadocious and Shedeur Sanders and all those things. If there is not a either, in this instance, Shedeur Sanders in what Matt Brown said, can't be on the cover because Quinn Ewers is going to be on the cover. So if there's one quarterback, I think it's either Quinn Ewers or Shedeur Sanders. But I think there's only going to be one player per team. They're not going to have 3 editions or 4 editions or 4 covers or whatever. And 2 of them are Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. So I think Quinn Ewers is one of them. But I would bet good money that Travis Hunter is going to be one of the cover athletes. I would bet you a decent amount that either he or Shedeur Sanders, and I would lean more towards Travis Hunter, are on the cover of this game. There are no group of 5 players, according to Matt Brown. Not every Power 5 conference is represented. And I realize it's somewhat going out on a limb that in the 25 covers before, there were only 2 defensive players, and I've got 2 quasi-defensive players. Harold Perkins is a defensive player, and Travis Hunter is a majority defensive player, but also plays wideout. I know that that's going out on a limb and putting 2 of the 3 in this as defensive players, but I just feel like there's going to be one quarterback. There's definitively a quarterback. And then I think definitively there's Travis Hunter, and then who the third one is the one that I question the most. Is it Cade Klubnik? I don't know. Is it Shedeur Sanders? Is it Ollie Gordon? Ollie Gordon Jr., Ollie Gordon the second from Oklahoma State. I leaned against it because he's a running back in the Big 12, and Oklahoma State's not necessarily the biggest brand name, but the production that he had last year would lead you to believe that maybe he could be on the game. If there were 4 editions of the game instead of 3, I would probably tell you that Ollie Gordon the second is on that list. In the Big 10, I don't know who fits that bill. Like, I would lean towards Michigan just won the national title, but who's their best player coming back? Colston Loveland, the tight end? I don't know that he fits the bill. Does Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State? Could be, or I would lean towards somebody from Ohio State or Michigan being there for the Big 10. If Drew Aller, the quarterback at Penn State, if there wasn't already a quarterback, I don't know that you're going to choose, like, okay, we're only going to use one quarterback. Okay, pick Drew Aller of Penn State. I don't think that's the case. So I don't have a Big 10 player because I think you have to kind of err on the side of Michigan, but I don't, if Blake Corum was coming back or J.J. McCarthy was back or Mikey Sainer still was coming back, I think those are easy choices. But when Colston Loveland, the tight end, who's not necessarily a super sexy player, is kind of the best player coming back, I don't know that Michigan gets the nod. And I think for Ohio State, I can do this. Damn it, never mind. JTT could be the cover athlete. I think if he had a little bit more production last year, Emeka Egbuka, Travion Henderson. But then if you choose Travion Henderson, then Ollie Gordon the second came. So I just settled at 3. And I don't know that the Big 10 or ACC has one. And that's how I got to my predictions. So give me Quinn Ewers on the cover Harold Perkins on an edition of the cover, and Travis Hunter on edition of one of the covers, if not the deluxe edition or what have you. Those are my predictions. I'd love to hear who you think is going to be on the cover. Hit us in the comments below. Share your thoughts, your feelings. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I stupid? Am I brilliant? I don't think we know the answer to that one. But I want to know what you think. If you think somebody I don't, I'd love to hear your reasoning. That'll do it for today's episode of the Daily Huddle. Appreciate you making us a part of your day, however it is, wherever it is you're doing so. If you're listening on YouTube, or if you're listening on the podcast feed, drop a 5-star review. It goes a long way in helping out the channel. If you are watching here on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're getting all the great college football content that's coming out here of Saturday Glory. I will see you for another episode on Sunday. I look forward to chatting with you then. Until then, I'll see you next time here on Saturday Glory.